it's always great when I get to watch a book versus movie film in the cinema, as opposed to it being one that's come to streaming or it's a series that I need to watch on Netflix or Disney Plus. So welcome to my book versus movie of Women Talking. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week, and then movie reviews here at the weekend. Book versus movie videos are one of my favourite kind of videos to make, and I know that when an author signs over the rights to their work, the movie studio or television studio has the right to do what they want with them. I understand that they can change everything completely, change the name, change the storyline, change the characters, have characters just not exist. But I enjoy looking at the similarities and differences and bringing them to you here. I will leave a playlist of my book versus movie content linked up above. And yeah, I was very excited to sort of see that there was. So basically, I saw the trailer for this one in the cinema. I was like, oh, that film looks interesting. Then it said it was based on a best-selling novel. So I immediately checked the audiobook of Women Talking out of my library. Then the film got nominated as a Best Picture winner. And I think that might have been what stopped it being sort of a bit more mainstream in cinemas. I had to go out of my way to go and watch this one. I had to travel and pay to park and go and watch this in a whole different cinema because it just was not coming to any multiplexes near me. I know other people have had trouble finding this one in the cinemas as well. But I feel like that might be the kind of curse of the Oscars, that they're like, oh, it's not mainstream because it's been nominated for an Oscar. But then Top Gun Maverick is also nominated for the Best Picture Oscar. So you live and learn. Yes, so this is one of those movies where I watched the credits at the end almost expecting that the screenplay or the script would have been adapted or at least supervised by the author of the book, because the dialogue in the film is just so similar to the dialogue in the book, even to the point where we have a little introduction bit when you're reading the book where it talks about the women in this commune who were attacked in their sleep, and the men of this community basically said, oh yes, it's ghosts and demons and they're coming and attacking you in your sleep, and you need to just accept that and be holy and be okay with it. And then it turned out that when one of the guys got caught, he named a load of other guys who were also doing it, and they were basically drugging these women so that they would stay asleep and then raping them. And the women of the community then come together to talk about what they're going to do next, while all the men of the community have gone to the town to go and bail the men who've been arrested out of jail. So yeah, the book introduces that. And then one of the other things that got said before the women, before the men were found guilty of this, was that, it's just women's creative imagination. This is it's not really happening to you. But these women are pregnant and bleeding and missing teeth and have been made blind and things like that. It can't be an act of a female imagination. And so the book and the film both say that this is an act of female imagination. And so I really enjoyed the fact that they kept that the same between the book and the film. We've got this kind of Frances McDormand character that comes up in the film, who this film is kind of being marketed as here's Frances McDormand, Oscar winner Frances McDormand, she's a producer on the film, and she plays a very small part, but that part doesn't really exist in the book. It's made more of in the film, so I think you can have Frances McDormand attached to it. I think this is one of the big reasons that the film has got the Oscar nods that it's got, because she's attached to it. But then we have these other people who are playing the roles that we see in the book. So we have Ben Whishaw in there playing the character of August, who's the only male that we sort of see speak in the film, and is the only male that gets any dialogue in the book as well. and he's taking notes from them because he's an outcast. He's allowed to be with them when they're quilting in the hayloft, because that's what they have to say as a cover for having these meetings. What was interesting in terms of the differences, that, you know, all the characters are pretty much the same, all the dialogue is pretty much the same, the order of events is very much the same. One of the things that I don't remember happening in the book, but then I did listen to this on audio, so it might just be something that went past me as I was listening to the story, is I don't remember the word rape being mentioned in the book, whereas the word rape is very definitely mentioned in the film. I think it only comes up a couple of times, but they say the word rape as opposed to attack or, like, you know, visits, imaginations, demons, ghosts, whatever. Whereas I don't remember it being mentioned in the book. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might just been one of those things that as I was listening, I was just listening more for the events than the dialogue itself. But that's something that came up. And then we have the moment where there's a couple of moments where the film is very definitely sitting on the side of the kind of Me Too movement, the era of women's marches and the movement that we're in today. And then so there's a discussion about what they should do about the men if they were to leave the community, if that's what people were to vote for, or if they were going to all go, what should they do about the men? And they're like, well, the men are the people that rape us, the men are the people that attack us, and somebody just responds with, it's not all men. And again, I don't remember that coming up in the book, and it's very much that there's a hashtag not all men, and I thought that was interesting that it was said and made, you know, it was quite a big moment. There was some silence after it in the film. And then there's another point where August talks about navigation and maps and things like that, and he talks to one of the females one of the women talking, and he shows her how to locate south by like putting up her fist and then putting her thumb up, and so you see her telling the other women, showing them how you would navigate if you did leave and you didn't have maps and things like that. And so you see like all these kind of fists going up. And again, I think that was included, and that particular kind of part was included in order to link with the women's movement that we currently have now, and very much that kind of fighting kind of solidarity type of thing, because it was just a scene where it was kind of silhouetted. It was almost black and white, but not quite, because it was quite dark and they were sort of backlit, and so that was an interesting moment too. But yeah, on the whole, the book and the movie are very similar. I enjoyed both were a reasonable length. I felt like the book was on the shorter side, the movie was on the longer side of general movies, general books, so that was interesting. But yeah, even the fact that the women sing some songs as a group in the film, the audiobook starts and ends with those songs. So that would only be if you were listening to the audiobook. Obviously you wouldn't have those songs necessarily in a physical or an ebook form, but those songs are included in the audiobook form of it, which I thought was really quite cool. But yeah, I enjoyed both. I think that it's a film worth seeing in the cinema, which is what I always say at the end of my movie reviews, just because I thought the cinematography and the lighting was really interesting, and should it have been nominated for Best Picture? I don't know. Like I say, I think there's a Frances McDormand connection in there. Frances McDormand, who has all of like 2 lines in the film, and is a character that I don't remember being in the book. So that's an interesting one, definitely. But yes, as always, if there is another book versus movie adaptation you would like me to read and watch and then report back on for you here, do let me know. If you haven't already seen my March TBR, I do have another one planned for the month of March. I'll leave that linked somewhere for you. And if you're into book versus movies, you have definitely come to the right place. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future book versus movie videos and my other bookish content for you in the week, as well as my movie reviews coming your way. And I will see you with my next video. Thanks for watching.